Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today, we're going to be doing a little bit of exploration. These are places we've showed before, but we're looking for a new piece of equipment that I wasn't aware of. So, right now, we are in after steering, and we're specifically in front of the controls for the starboard side rudder. We have an intern who's working in the National Archives at College Park who has pulled some deck logs for the ship from 1983. So these are documents that we've never seen before. And going through the documents, one of the deck logs mentions that there is a steering casualty and after steering has to take over. It specifically says that they are steering by white pointer. Now, if you're like me, you've read some other naval history books. For example, Last Stand of the Tin Can Sailors is one of my favorites, and there's a really iconic scene in that book where Captain Ernest Evans of USS Johnston is standing on the fantail of the ship, and he's severely wounded at this point. The bridge has been taken out, the bridge crew is gone, and he's just shouting through a hatch to the guys in after steering what direction they're supposed to go. That does not work in after steering on a battleship. Our armored deck is 7 inches thick, and we are quite a distance removed from the nearest hatch. However, it does bring up an important point. At the trick wheel here, I cannot see where I'm going. I'm not even facing the same direction that the ship is moving in. That is the bow. This is the stern where the actual rudders themselves are. So somebody better be giving me instructions on what to do because I have no idea. Turning the wheel, the ship is moving, but I don't know where we're going. So it makes sense that there would be some sort of indicator that the captain is sending a signal down here to tell them where to go. On Battleship New Jersey, these trick wheels down here and after steering are mechanically linked into these steering motors. The other helm positions, like the ones up on the superstructure that you would normally steer from, send an electric signal down to these motors. So, if the ship takes hits that sever those electrical connections, or you have some sort of other failure, either electrical or mechanical, you could lose steering from that position, which is why you need to take over down here. So it makes sense that there's an indicator, but it doesn't necessarily make sense that that indicator would be electronic, at least not if it's coming from the same place. So, we're looking for something that looks like a white pointer. Sailors are the absolute least creative when it comes to naming things. When I read that I'm looking for a white pointer, that means I'm looking for a white arrow somewhere. So our first investigation is to come down to aft steering and see what indicator is giving them a white arrow. So looking around here, we've got a couple of different pressure gauges for the hydraulic fluid. We've got our gyro compass repeater, and we've got our steering telegraph or rudder angle indicator. And if you look at this, it has a green arrow. Green is always your starboard side. It has a red arrow that's a little bit bigger than that. Red is always your port side. So now you can see that the green and the red arrow are matching, and most of the time they will be. However, with two rudders, they don't necessarily have to. So this shows us what angle they are at, and this is correct, they are at 0 right now. But there is also this hollow white piece right here that has a little white arrow on top that says steer, and it has very specifically a hash mark so it can point at a specific angle. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this white indicator is our white pointer. And so the person on the bridge or wherever this steering telegraph rudder angle indicator is being fed from puts this to a certain degree, and it's hollow, so you can then match it with your two rudder indicators here, and they will then be inside of it, and their hash marks are matching the hash mark on there, which is matching the angle indicator on here. So we now know how the system works on the receiving end. We've got to go explore the ship and find out where they're transmitting from. So for you, it's only been a couple of seconds. For us, it's been a few minutes getting up here. We are now on the other end of the ship, on the O4 bridge in the conning tower, which is one of the main places the ship would have been steered from, but one of 3 other steering locations on board. Now that we've seen where the output of the white pointer is, we wanted to come and check out the input. And so the first place we wanted to check is steering, because maybe the other steering positions receive this input as well. So here we are at the helm, and one of the consoles here has the very same rudder angle indicator, and it's got a wheel that allows you to set where you're steering, and it's very similar to the one down below. The problem I see here is this is in the same console that controls this. So if electrical for this goes out, electrical for that's probably out too. So how the heck are you transmitting to after steering with what your steering commands are? It seems like this is a possibility, but it can't be the only place that transmits this. And while we're looking at the other equipment here, we've got engine order telegraph, revolution indicator, we've got the steering console itself. Then we've got this thing over here. And this doesn't have any buttons or dials that do anything. And that seems to have some very specific information on rudder angles, course, and what you're supposed to do. So my thought is, and also notice it's got a bell on it. Bells always mean repeaters, so that when something, an order is given somewhere else, it will ring that bell for you and let you know, hey, I've got to look at this and do whatever it says. So we've got to find where this is repeated from. So now we're on the O5 level. This is an open bridge space, but we've got no helm to actually steer from. And unfortunately, unlike Missouri, we don't even have a windscreen here, so I'm just getting it full in the face. Why does Missouri get everything that we don't? Anyway, we do have a complete set of controls. So we've got your shaft RPM indicators, how fast are the propellers spinning. We've got our rudder angle indicators. Again, it's got a port and a starboard. And we've got our engine order telegraph indicators. So we're being told how fast you're being ordered, what the angle of the rudder is, and how fast the propellers are actually giving you. This is a great place to see what the ship is doing, but you can't actually physically steer from here, even though you can see where you're going. The reason I've always heard for the open bridge is that this is the place where you would have a harbor pilot. And the harbor pilot you might not want inside of the ship. There's classified information in there, for example, the radars for navigation inside the bridge. This might have been particularly important, say, in September of 1945, when New Jersey sails into Japanese waters. She's going to have a Japanese pilot on board. Technically, World War II is over, but a couple of days ago, the war was just being fought. So maybe you don't want that individual going inside the ship and seeing classified information. However, from up here, they can see everything they need to, and they can still give their orders to the helmsman who's down inside the ship, to the engine rooms, all that stuff. And maybe even more importantly than that, you can see where you're going from up here. Not just dead ahead, but you can walk from bridge wing to wing and see over the side of the ship, like when you're coming into a pier. So this is a really great place to see where you're going. I always assume that much like Johnston in Last Stand of the Tin Can Sailors, you've just got somebody up here who's like hollering down below. The bridge windows are directly below us. If those are cranked down, surely they can hear you, right? Well, you do have some control equipment up here. Over here, we have the engine order telegraphs. So this is where I am signaling what speed I want the engines to go at. And then over here, I can actually see if they've answered that or not. And I don't have a helm up here, but I do have the other end of that machine that we saw down below. And unlike that machine down below, I can actually control what course we're set at and what rudder angles we use via a white pointer arrow. So this can send the location not only from here, but down to the bridge where you would normally be steering, and also to after steering if they have to take control. There's going to be one of these repeaters there where you can see the white pointer, which just means the control has shifted from an actual helm to up here where somebody can see where they're going, say what they want done, and then see that it's actually being done. Because interestingly, unlike your engine order telegraphs where you ring down, it points an arrow at what you want, they ring back up and points their arrow to match it. This has so much going on with courses and what to do with the rudders and whatnot, that there isn't a second arrow to say that, oh yeah, I'm also doing this course. And so your positive input from this is what you're seeing on the other indicators. So have you ever had nightmares that you're driving a car but you're sitting in the back seat? Imagine you're in charge of driving a 57,000-ton, multi-hundreds of million-dollar battleship, but you're up here without a wheel to steer from. We finally figured out how they did it. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below for ways you can donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find about us on our channel. Thanks for watching.